Hillsborough County has launched its redesigned website, hcfl.gov. The new domain boasts a variety of improvements to searchability, page layout, navigation, and website speed. The revamped website features robust search functions, making it easier for users to find the information they need. Whether searching for essential government services, paying water bills, accessing event information, learning how to acquire a new trash can, or identifying evacuation zones, the enhanced search functionality ensures quick access to relevant content. HCFL.gov's new design features a clean, modern, and intuitive layout. The streamlined design enhances user-friendliness for easy navigation and access to important resources. Navigating the website is now more straightforward than ever. Users can seamlessly move between different sections, departments, and services while interacting with information and resources. Ready to see what all the fuss is about? Head to hcfl.gov and discover your best source for all things Hillsborough County.
Good morning. If you could please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please be seated. Good morning, everyone. I want to welcome you to the April 22nd, 2024 Land Use Hearing Officer hearing. My name is Susan Finch, and I'll be presiding as the hearing officer over today's cases. Let me start by introducing Ms. Colleen Marshall. She's with the Development Services Department at the end of the dais, where she will introduce other staff members that will participate in today's hearing, as well as go over any changes we have to today's agenda. Ms. Marshall.
Good morning, Colleen Marshall, Development Services. To my right is Rosa Timoteo of Development Services staff. To my left is Mary Dorman of the Hillsborough County County Attorney's Office. During the course of the hearing, a number of other planners will be presenting their findings for various cases and will be introduced for each item. We have a few continuances and withdrawals today. Item A1, Special Use 230966. The applicant is Thanlock LLC, doing business as Thin on French Bakery. This application has been withdrawn from the process by the zoning administrator. Item A2, Special Use 240306. The applicant is Cambridge Christian School Incorporated. This application is being continued by staff to the May 20th, 2024 Land Use Hearing Officer hearing. Item A3, Special Use 240493. The applicant is Elena's Blues Cigars and Hookah LLC. This application is out of order to be heard and is being continued to the May 20th, 2024 Land Use Hearing Officer hearing. And item A4, variance 240504. The applicant is Darren Smith, Zion Village LLP, and this application has been withdrawn by the applicant. This concludes the continuances and withdrawals.
Thank you so much. Let me start by going over our hearing procedures for today. Our hearing today consists of agenda items that require a public hearing by a land use hearing officer. I'll conduct a hearing on each agenda item and will file a decision within 15 business days following today's hearing. Our hearing is informal. I'll ask questions related to the scope of direct testimony. I may call and question witnesses as I deem appropriate, and I will decide all questions of procedure. I'll take evidence, but will exclude evidence that is irrelevant, immaterial, or unduly repetitious. Evidence may be presented in written form, and all testimony must be under oath. Hearsay evidence may be used to support or to supplement or explain other evidence, but shall not be sufficient alone to support a finding by me unless it would be admissible over objections in a civil action. Our order of presentation is as follows. We have two types of applications on today's agenda. The majority and what we start with are the variances. And then the end of the agenda, we have what are called special use applications. The order of presentation for those two types of applications are identical except for who starts. So with variances, Development Services starts. Ms. Marshall will introduce the item, and then the staff planner that was assigned the case will have 5 minutes to explain the application and the county's findings. In the case of special uses, the applicant goes first. The applicant also has 15 minutes, rather, as opposed to 5, has 15 minutes to present their case. And then we'll go back to the applicant in the case of the variance, who then, as I said, has 15 minutes. Next up, we'll go to proponents. Anyone who would like to speak in favor of an application. Total proponent presentation time is 15 minutes. Also 15 minutes next when we go to opponents, anyone who would like to speak against an application. Everyone together, 15 minutes. We'll circle back to the Development Services Department to see if they have any comments or changes based on today's testimony. And then finally, the applicant has the last word with 5 minutes for rebuttal. If you are going to speak, at today's hearing, we have people participating both in the room and online. Always start by giving us your name and address for the record. We are recording this hearing, and we want to make sure that we have your information correct as to the application you're speaking to. If you're in the room and you speak at the podium, when you are done, if you could see Lauren, she's at the end of the dais here. Lauren, if you could raise your hand. There she is. She is with the clerk's office, and she is keeping a log of who is speaking here today. So when you're done, if you could also sign in with your name, address, and the application number to which you spoke. So let me now turn to the county attorney, Ms. Dorman, who will provide you the legal requirements for appealing a decision made by the land use hearing officer. Ms. Dorman.
Good morning. Mary Dorman from the county attorney's office. This land use hearing officer public hearing is for variance and special use requests. This is the time for interested parties to present evidence and testimony. Once the hearing officer has closed a case, the record of that case is also closed, and no new evidence regarding that case may be submitted thereafter. Any decision by the hearing officer may be appealed to the Land Use Appeals Board. Should a decision of the hearing officer be appealed, the record evidence and testimony presented at this public hearing shall be the only evidence that is subject to review by the Appeals Board. In reaching a final decision on petitions, the Appeals Board will only consider the decision of the hearing officer and the record made at this public hearing. If an appeal is filed, the Appeals Board hearing shall consist of oral argument by the party appealing the decision, county staff, and any interveners, each of whom may be represented by legal counsel. The following shall have standing to appeal a decision of the hearing officer or to intervene in an appeal. 1, the applicant, or 2, anyone who appeared before the hearing officer, presented testimony or other evidence, and is adversely affected by the decision of the hearing officer. It is the role of the county attorney's office to ensure that no new evidence or testimony is allowed before the appeals board that was not presented to the hearing officer at today's hearing. The county attorney will recommend that the appeals board disregard evidence or testimony that is outside the record made at today's public hearing. Any evidence presented to the appeals board that is outside the record created at today's hearing could jeopardize the legality of the appeals board decision, and the presenter of that evidence could hurt their own cause. The safest course of action then is for you to write down any comments you make today and repeat them to the appeals board.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. As I mentioned, all testimony must be under oath. So if you plan to speak today, if you could please stand and raise your right hand, and I'll swear you in. Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to provide is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you. Please have a seat. All right, then with that, Ms. Marshall, we're ready to call the first case.
On today's agenda, we have no vested rights, fee waivers, remands, reconsideration requests, site development variance requests, or sign variance requests, which brings us to Section H, variance requests. Item H1, variance 240297. The applicant is Scott and Judy Holt. The request is a variance for underage occupancy within the Sun City Center's Senior Citizen Overlay District. Staff findings will be provided by Carol Ann Peddle.
All right. Good morning.
Good morning. Carol Ann Peddle, Development Services. This is variance 24-0297. The applicant requests a variance to allow their grandchild under the age of 18 to live in their residence within the Sun City Center Senior Citizen Overlay District. Per LDC Section 30109D2C, variances shall be considered for exceptional or unusual family situations and shall be valid for a period of 2 years. Exceptional or unusual family situations shall include if it is necessary for a person 18 years or younger to reside in a dwelling unit within the boundaries of the overlay in excess of 30 days in 1 year after an emergency situation involving the immediate family of a household. Meeting the age restriction of Section 30109C requires that a person 18 years or younger maintain residence in a dwelling unit within boundaries of the overlay for a period in excess of 30 calendar days. So the request is to allow a person 18 years of age or younger maintain residence in the dwelling unit due to emergency situations. That concludes my report.
Let me ask you one quick question. So you cited the code provision that allows the period of 2 years for the variance.
Yes.
What is the start date of that 2-year period?
I believe it's the approval of the variance. Is that correct, Colleen?
Yes, I think it would be, if approved, the
It would be the
approval
date of the hearing officer's approval?
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you. That was my only question. I
Thank you.
appreciate it. Is the applicant here? Good morning.
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 Scott and Jody Holt, 621 Oakmont Avenue, Sun City Center. We've had to endure the unfortunate event of our son's passing away in December of '23, at which time we were gifted our minor grandchild to raise. We're praying for this variance in order, due to extenuating circumstances, and granting this variance would afford our family the time to find an adequate community to raise our minor child in.
All right, and you heard the staff, the code provides for a 2-year period.
Yes.
You understand that? All right,
Yes.
thank you so much.
Thanks.
And if you could please sign in with the clerk's office. Thank you very much. All right, is there anyone who would like to speak in favor of this application? Seeing no one, anyone in opposition to this request? No one? Okay. Development Services, anything else?
Nothing further.
All right. Mr. and Mrs. Holt, anything else before we close the case? All right, thank you for that. I appreciate it. Then with that, we'll close variance 24-0297 and go to the next case.
Next item is item H2, variance 240370. The applicant is Carmen Matthews. The request is a variance to lot development standards and accessory dwelling standards. Staff findings will be provided by Jared Fullen.
All right. Good morning.
Good morning. I need to be sworn in.
Okay. If there is anyone else in the room that walked in after we swore everyone in and is planning to speak today, if you could please stand and raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to provide is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Yeah, good morning. This is variance 24-0370. There are 3 variance requests with this application. So the property owner is looking to redevelop and add a couple structures to their residential property. They are looking to rebuild their principal structure. There is a current one right there now. They're looking to demolish it and replace it with another single-family home. And with this home, they're looking to build it within the required side yards on the southwest and the northeast. And that is by 10 feet on both sides, which would result in a 5-foot side yard setback. They're also looking to construct an accessory dwelling structure that is planned to be constructed within a rear yard setback, and also an accessory structure, which would be a 4-car garage within a side yard. It's normally 15 feet for the side yard of the garage, and they're looking to build it within 3 feet of the property line. And I forgot to mention the accessory dwelling is, let's see here, 19 feet encroachment, which would result in a 31-foot setback. That's the gist of their request. They do have residential to the northeast and southwest. Both have residential structures, and they're zoned ASC 1.
I just have a quick question. I have the graphics that were
Yes,
prepared
ma'am.
by the applicant. And so thank you for that. It was a little confusing with the 3 structures. And so now I understand the 4-car garage, I see where that's located on the survey, that this is all hand drawn in. And if you have the graphic, or I'm glad to provide you this one, if you could tell me the difference between the new home and the accessory dwelling unit, if you could show me that.
Yeah.
From this drawing, from the hand drawing, it looks like it's all one piece.
Yeah, I'll show you here.
Thank you.
Yes. So sorry, it's a little it's hard to see. You can the not hand drawn building footprint here. That's the existing,
Right.
and then the new structure is the rectangular footprint over it. And you can see that they're building it closer to the side yard.
Where is the accessory dwelling unit?
Oh, sorry. Accessory dwelling is actually not on this one, so there are 2 separate drawings. The survey that they provided has it on there, and it's towards the north.
All right. If you could show me that. Let me get there myself.
It's right here. And the rear yard setback is this. This is a rear yard property line here, so it's a 50-foot setback.
I see. So It's confusing because
Yes.
from the drawing where it shows the home and the 4-car garage, visually, I mean, obviously, this is blown up and the other one is not.
Yeah.
It looks like that accessory dwelling, that there's no room for it, and clearly there must be, if that's their proposal, but it looks like it's in this exact same area as where the new home will be. We can get clarification from the applicant, of course, but
Yeah.
I just want to make sure that we're talking about 3 different structures here.
Yes, the accessory dwelling structure is the north side, and the principal structure will be built on the south side. And then the accessory structure, 4-car garage, is in the middle.
Okay. In the middle, on the north side. Okay. All right. We'll go with the applicant.
Okay.
Thank you very much. I
Thank you.
appreciate it. Is the applicant here? Good morning.
Good morning.
If you bring this to you, you have to be on the microphone. See the microphone right here?
There.
Yeah,
Can you
it
see it?
moves. Just bring it to you. There you go.
that
Give us
better?
your name and address.
Okay. Cynthia Mercer, 8812 Van Fleet Road.
Thank you.
Victor Lopez, general contractor,
Give us your address, sir.
11717 Wynn Road, where I live.
Thank you so much. Yes, that's fine. Thank you. Appreciate it. Go ahead.
Okay, so I know you're having a problem seeing the little thing. I have a big board here for
That
you to
would be
probably
helpful.
see
Thank you.
better.
Yep.
I don't know if you want me to bring this to you, because it's quite big.
You can, yeah, if you want to.
Okay.
Yeah, you can just put it right up here. Yeah, perfect. We'll just lay it down right here. But you have to be on the microphone to speak. Okay, thank you.
Okay, so they have the primary residence right now where they're at. That will be demolished in the big red area where you see on your drawing. That is where the new primary dwelling is going to be. Moving forward is going to be the 4-car garage closer to the street. In the corner will be where the container is, which is to be the accessory dwelling. So
All right.
the variance request we proposed on the new one was going to be for 10 feet from the fence, or 15 for the front and then 5 for the back. However, we had spoke with the neighbor, one of them opposed it. We had conversations with them, and we came to an agreement that they would like 10 feet. They would agree to it with no opposition
For which structure?
for both.
For both?
Actually, all 3.
All right, so now, does that change your request from what the staff report says, or is that reflected in the staff report?
It changes it because when we did this, at first, they wanted, we did 15 feet in the front from 50, and in the rear, we did, it was 15 feet to 5.
Oh, I see. So the staff report says 15 feet to 5 for both the main structure and also the accessory structure, that it's a variance of 10 feet leaving 5.
Correct.
And you're saying now the remainder will be a 10-foot setback.
Correct.
So it's a 5-foot variance
In the rear.
with 10 feet remaining.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And then what about the accessory dwelling?
The accessory dwelling for the 4-car garage,
Yes.
okay, that, what I was told with that would follow suit for the primary residence on the home. It would, if we had a 10-foot variance, and the garage would also be allowed the 10-foot variance.
All right. Look, we'll circle back. Let me let you do your presentation, and then we'll get back with staff and make sure that we have these numbers right, because we don't want to move forward with having something that you didn't ask for.
Sure.
And especially if you've made an arrangement with the neighbor. So
Yes, ma'am.
go ahead with your presentation.
Okay, so basically is what I just had spoken about. What we're trying to do is the primary dwelling will be demolished and a new home will be built, being since that they will be having that as their primary residence. They're wanting to build a family and have that for their forever home. The second dwelling would be for their mother's quarters, so the mother can remain living on the property to help with the family, keep that tight-knit, have the grandchildren there, and have something that they all can live in the same property together. And of course, the 4-car garage would be substantial to having the mother there, their family, and also the children later on in the future.
All right, understood. Thank you so much.
You're
Anything
welcome.
else you wanted to say before we move
You know,
on?
I think she's doing a good job.
She did a good job. Okay, thank you so much. If you could please sign in, I appreciate it. Is there anyone here that would like to speak in support? Anyone in favor? Seeing no one, anyone in opposition to this request? How many people would like to speak? If you could raise your hand, how many people want to speak? All right, 2. And I don't think, Demetrius, we don't have anybody online, right, to speak? No, okay. So if you want to go ahead and come forward, both of you. You have a total of 15 minutes, so that would be 7.5 minutes each. You don't have to take the 7.5 minutes each if you don't want to, but you're certainly welcome to. If you start by giving us your name and address, please.
Good morning. Ronald Larry Waldron, 9815 Ginger Drive. I'm a principal of Waldron Investment, which we own rental property adjoining our personal residence. That address is 9813 Ginger Drive. Both our properties adjoin the applicant's property. My wife is going to address the 9813 rental property issue and how the variance would impact that. What I would like to do is to expedite the hearing is just to address our personal residence issue. We've lived at 9815 Ginger approximately 4 years. We bought both properties, the 9815 Ginger property, which is our personal residence, and also the 9813 Ginger property. Combined, it's approximately 2 acres, and our thought process there was it gives us more room, more of a rural type setting, and we can control the environment there a little bit. The current setback that we're concerned with, the 15 feet setback, which we've met with the applicants, and they have agreed to go with a 10-foot setback, which we are willing to accept that. Now that's on both sides. Our side, which is to the northeast, I believe, again on the river, it's a little hard to tell what directions are what, and also on the other side. The one question I think needs to be clarified is that there's 3 items here. There's setback on both sides, and then a backyard setback, which is currently 50-foot setback. And my understanding is they want to reduce that by 15 feet, which would result in a 35-foot backyard setback. Is that what your understanding is also?
Sir, the application I have in front of me for that 50-foot rear yard, they're asking for a variance of 31.14 feet, so that would leave a setback of 18.86 feet, according to the staff report.
Okay. We've got no real problem with that issue. We do have a problem with the side in that we're agreeable to 10-foot. We are not agreeable to a 5-foot setback. Our reasoning is, first of all, we moved there with these setbacks to give us some privacy. We also feel that will certainly impact the value of the home, our enjoyment of the home, and our neighbors in the surrounding areas. Also, if we grant these variances, I assume by granting a variance to this applicant, it may imply that that variance would be available to other applicants also. So again, to state my position is we are agreeable to a 10-foot setback on the sides, and we're agreeable to the 18-foot setback on the back. And with that said, that's all I have to say to address the issue, and my wife would like to discuss it.
Thank you, sir. If you could please sign in.
May I hand you a couple? It kind of helps to visualize
Absolutely.
where we are.
Yeah.
I have several copies. How many?
What you can do is make your presentation. You can show them on the overhead that's right next to you.
It's kind of hard to see. they're little. It's folios. So I thought
We'll be able to see it. If you just put it on the overhead, and then when you're done, you can submit them to the clerk's office, and they'll be a part of the record.
Okay.
Start by giving us your name and address, please.
I am Dolores Waldron, and I'm representing 9813 Ginger Drive, Riverview, Florida.
Thank you.
All
And then
right.
when you walk over to talk about it, that microphone moves. It can move with you.
Okay, and how do I?
It's
you
already
can't
up.
see it there. Okay.
There you go. Go ahead.
All right. So I am talking about 9813. You can see where it adjoins with the applicant.
I do.
And our home's 9815. When we found this property, we were extremely excited. We did our research, and we knew that zoning dictates the types of properties allowed in specific areas, and it outlines how land can be developed or utilized after great research. So we researched that and confirmed that it was zoned ASC1, 1 home per acre with a 15-foot variance. We felt secure in our investment. This is our ending home. We're in the 4th quarter of life. But we're also excited because we can offer affordable rent to other people who love their privacy and love the river, which we grant access to the river, to our tenants. The growth of a family and personal inconvenience do not constitute practical difficulties or unnecessary hardship which justify a variance change. It's not the uniqueness of the plight of the owner, but the uniqueness of the land which is the criteria. The applicant's folio states they have 140 feet on the river, 200 feet depth, and 1.25 acres. There's no need to build on top of your neighbor. And I just ask that you preserve this original zoning and variance and maintain this semi-rural setting.
Let me ask you a question, just because your husband just spoke and said that you all were in support as long as they provided the 10-foot setbacks.
10 foot,
And is that your position as well?
Not absolutely, but I am trying to be a great neighbor, which I think we have been.
Okay.
So,
All right. Thank you so much. I
Thank
appreciate
you.
it. If you want to submit those documents into the record when you sign in, they'll be a
Thank you.
part. Thank you for your testimony. I appreciate it. Anyone else who would like to speak in opposition? All right. Seeing no one. Development Services. It seems we have a change to the request in terms of those side yard setbacks. So I just want to verify, we'll confirm when the applicant comes back up at rebuttal, but I just want to confirm that you all are on board with this as well. The representative said that side yard setback would, instead of a 10-foot variance, they'd be asking for a 5-foot variance, leaving a remainder of 10 feet on both sides. Is that your understanding?
Yes.
Okay. And then I don't think the other setbacks change, as what I heard. It was just that, based on the negotiation with the neighbor.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Did you have any other comments?
Nothing further.
All right. Thank you. Then we'll go back to the applicant. If you could come forward, whoever would like to speak. And just give us your name when you start.
Cynthia Mercer.
Thank you.
Yes. So in rebuttal to that, I do have a letter from one of the neighbors, which is on the opposite side, and I'd like for you to, I don't know if I could put it on the screen here for you to read
You
it.
can. Yeah, sure. Oh, you need to turn it over. There you go.
There we go.
All right, and where is this neighbor relative to the property?
Just on the opposite side
Okay,
of the previous neighbor.
okay. All right. And so just to be clear, that it's the side yard setback request that's changing?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And you're keeping the proposed 18.86-foot rear setback for the accessory dwelling?
Yeah, for the accessory dwelling, they want basically on all of the property, only a 10-foot setback, including the rear for all 3 dwellings.
Including the rear?
Yeah, so the primary residence.
Okay. Because, let's go back to staff for a second. The staff report references the accessory dwelling is the one that's in the rear setback. That's the rear setback variance.
Are we talking about the main structure?
No. The accessory dwelling is the I think it's a container
It's a
building, is that
containers,
correct?
okay.
Yeah, so we're talking about that.
Okay.
All right, and according to the staff report, that's the one you need a variance in the rear yard setback,
Correct.
right? So the staff report reads, I just want to make sure we've got this right, that that's a 50-foot rear yard setback. You're
Yes.
asking for a 31.14-foot variance, leaving a remainder of 18.86 feet for that rear yard, correct?
That is what the variance requests, yes.
Okay, so that's as it stands.
As it stand on the paper, but again, when we spoke with the neighbor, they didn't want it to go 15 feet. They only
I think we're talking about two different things.
we're talking about the containers.
Well, I'm talking about the container, which is the accessory dwelling unit,
Mhm.
correct? Okay. So
So it's.
are you saying it's now going to be, there's only going to be a 10-foot setback?
Oh, it is 15. Okay, I'm sorry, it is 15. My apologies.
Okay, it's not 15 according to the staff report.
It's 50-foot setback for right now as it stands.
Correct, that's what required. The staff report says you want a variance of 31.14, leaving an 18.86-foot setback.
Yes, that is
Your
correct.
client is nodding yes.
Yes, that's
Okay.
correct.
All right, so that's as it stands in the staff report.
Yes.
Then those side yards are, now you want a 5-foot variance, 10 feet on each side, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And then the accessory structure, which would be the 4-car garage, all right? That's a 15-foot required side yard. Are you now changing that to 5-foot variance, leaving 10 feet? Or are you leaving that as the original request, which was a 10-foot variance, and it would be 5 feet from the side yard?
10 feet from the side yard. We would like to be 10 feet from the side yard.
Okay. So you're getting a 5-foot variance, and that accessory building, that garage, will be 10 feet from?
Yes,
okay.
that's correct.
All right, just want to make sure. Okay.
Sorry.
All right. Do you have anything else you want to add before we close?
Yes, I would like to add. So the current, they have been there for 33 years on the property. They're very well versed with the neighbors. They're not asking for a lot. They're just looking for their, as well as the neighbors, their future home, their forever home as well. The home itself will actually raise value in the property with what they have. It's a big structure that they're building, and I don't see it making any of the property go down in value. It would actually go raise in value. And as far as the privacy of the home, I can attest to saying that when we're on the property, their house faces a totally different direction than what this structure does. The new proposed house will begin where their house ends. There's no area of distortion for them at all, including the river. They actually have a full view of the river. It doesn't just, obstruct anything at all. I know that we all like our privacy, and that's why they agreed to the 10-foot. The windows will not be they won't be facing each other. Like I said, their house is facing the front. Even their porch and stuff is on the side of the house. It's not even facing each other. It's opposite sides. So I just wanted to add to that. No privacy would be obstructed. That's not what they intend to do. They all want to get along and just both have their forever homes.
All right, thank you so much, I appreciate it. If you could come get this, you don't need to submit it into the record because this graphic is already a part of the record, so you could take it with you.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
actually,
think Mr.
should we-
Lopez would like to add
Oh,
something.
okay, go ahead, sir.
Would you like to see a picture of the,
Sir, you need to give me your name on the record, and then you can speak. So you have to be on the record. You can put that graphic up here, but to speak, you have to go back on the microphone. Thanks.
Okay, come back here.
that the actual container systems are going to be there? They're not going to be something that's going to be sitting there dry working tracks. I've been in construction business for 45 years, and I got an outstanding record with the state of Florida. No complaints in 25 years, 45 years.
Could you give us your name for the record, please?
My name is Victor Lopez.
Sir. So this is the accessory dwelling unit? This is
Yes.
the container structure? Okay.
Yes.
All right. All right, did you have anything else you wanted to add?
No, ma'am.
All
No,
right,
ma'am.
thank you then. If you could come take these?
Yes.
And we will close this hearing. We'll close variance 24-0370 and go to the next case. Thank you so much.
Next item is item H3, variance 240440. The applicant is Christopher J. Kuala. The request is a variance to State Road 60 overlay development standards. Staff findings will be provided by Carolyn Peddle.
So the staff goes first. The staff person will go first. Good morning again.
Good morning. Caroline Peddle, Development Services, variance 24-0440. The applicant requests a variance to building design requirements for the State Road 60 Overlay District. Per LDC Section 314.06.2C, all buildings including existing structures shall be architecturally finished on all sides. Paint shall not constitute as an architectural finish. The requirement shall not replace other more stringent architectural standards that may be required by this code, such as those found in Section 611.016 for a large-scale retail development. The request is to eliminate the requirement for architecturally finished building facades. For findings, there was a special use alcohol beverage permit approved in March 18th of 2024, which was 24-0267.
Let me just ask you a quick question in reading this. What is that a defined term, architecturally finished? What's the standard?
I don't have the definition on me. Colleen, would you be able to pull that up?
There isn't a specific definition for architecturally finished. It does clarify that it can't just be painted as an architectural finish. Typically, it would just have some type of finishing on it or additional architectural finishes added rather than just being like metal or block with or without paint.
So has the county had a request for a corrugated steel structure before in this overlay that you're aware of?
Not that I'm aware of.
All right. But the fact that it's an interpretation then that if it's a metal corrugated steel structure that does not meet that standard?
Yes.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you. I appreciate it. All right, sir, it's your turn as the applicant. Good morning.
Chris Chula, 1506 Acadia Harbor Place, Brandon, Florida, 33511. Yeah, we'll go down to attachment B, variance request. Attachment B. B. Oh, there we go. Thank you, good sir. So I just want to talk a little about the history of this development because I think it's important. This is part of a master plan community that was permitted in 2004. It has several hundred residences in there. You could see from the picture, there's an actual overhead shot off of Google. And the residences sold very quickly in the 2000s up to 2010. And the master plan development has stagnated for the commercial lots. They had 4 lots that were sold. I think there's a dozen there. You can see where it says sold. That's where my lot is. On my east is Dollar General. On my west is O'Reilly's and Arby's. And diagonally adjacent is the daycare. So when you take a look at this, there's no full-service restaurant. Arby's is a fast food chain, and there's no full-service restaurant. There's no real attraction to the community, and the development hasn't lived up to its full potential in a very long time to provide services to the residents that bought the homes. I wanted to talk a little bit about our brand and our model. We want to offer a unique design and feel. It's an industrial brand. The design uses a lot of steel structural elements. We chose a steel building to incorporate with that design. We have a menu that's never frozen food with a gastropub style. We have a family-friendly service model. It's designed to be in master plan communities. We don't have shots in our model, and our business model is to close at 10 p.m. so that we can be in line with residences. We have live music, and we do a lot of things to support charities from the franchise brand. I'm a small business owner. I'm doing this project as part of an SBA loan, so it's a small business opportunity for me. I wanted to show a picture of the building itself and talk about the architecture of the building. The building will be red, and it's colonial red actually, and it was chosen to be in line with 2 of our neighbors that use red tones in their building design, which you'll see in the photos on the next slides. We're using white trim, and we have a gray slate roof to go with 2 other neighbors in the development so that we can blend in with the local community and make sure that we don't upset the community with our design elements. Originally, we were going to go with blue and brown tones on the roof, but we felt like it wouldn't blend in with the community we were building in, so we made that change with the steel building company before we sent it out to be manufactured. We also went to great expense to preserve this historic oak tree that's on the front of the lot. The way our site work was done, we could have dug right up to the root stump of that tree. They said we had to preserve it, but we knew that would kill it. So we spent about $12,000 building this retaining wall. And why did we do that? The two neighboring lots were developed about 10 years ago, so they have mature trees on their lots, and we don't want to have our design elements just be twig sticks and new shrubs and not blend in with the design elements of the master plan community. So we spent the money to have this oak tree preserved so that we continue to blend in and meet the intent of what the variance is, so we blend with the community. So we infuse history in with our design elements, and I know this is a busy slide. If you take a look at the, facing the slide, the lower left, this is what the logo will be, but we're going to take that flower up in the upper left and put it and replace one of the oranges. I'll tell you what Valrico means. It means Valley of God. That's the history of the town. So that's what the sunbeams above the voodoo logo are, and they called that when the Spanish settled the area. And it's a lot of orange groves were in the history of the town and a railway station. So we wanted to put the orange blossom and the oranges in there so it would be part of the community and it'd be something that the community could relate to. We're also engaging the community through art. So part of our concept is use old doors. And in the design element, doors represent opportunity. You can walk through a door to something on the other side. So someone who called in when I put in my AV variance request worked at Durant High School. And she wanted to hear what we were building, and she's pretty excited that it was coming, and some of the teachers there were really excited. And she said, I told her about the doors. And she said, this is so exciting. The art teachers would love to hear more about it. So I went down to the school, met the art department, and the high school students are going to paint the doors, and they're in the process of doing that now. And we put up a $2,000 cash prize, $1,500 for first place, $500 for second place, and dinner for $4 for third prize as a gift towards their future after they leave school. They're going to write a brief essay as to what the meaning of the picture art is on the door and the premise is what the future holds for them. So we're going to unveil this, and it's going to be part of our design element. The winners of these contests will be invited, if they choose to do so, to do some of the other artistic elements to our exterior design. The idea is not to have a big, just plain red building there. We want to infuse some art that's relevant to the local community. I wanted to show our neighbor, and this is why we chose the red color in our design. This is Riley Auto Parts. They're on the east side of us, directly facing 60. You can see their red elements in their design. They have a block structure that's painted for the rest of their design. Actually, this neighbor did write in support of our variance. They called us and asked us what we were doing. Everybody was concerned that we'd be disrupting traffic patterns and things like that, so we got calls as far across as Dover on the north side, the south side diagonal where the businesses are. They wanted to see what we were doing, and they wrote in support of the variance. They're really excited that we're coming. This is Dollar General. Their landlord also called on the variance for the same reason. And you can see they have the gray element in their design, which is why we chose the gray roof, so that we blend in with them. The landlord was also concerned for the same reasons, that we were going to scrape the land clean and it'd just be like an ugly new building there. And when I told them we were building, they were really excited about it, and they wrote in support of our variance as well. I just want to talk about feedback from the community. Discovery Point Daycare, Dollar General, Riley's Auto Parts, those are all of my directly adjacent neighbors. They called on my AB licenses, they called on our variances. They're so much in support of our project. They can't wait for us to get there. They call me every day asking me what's going on. Every time I'm on the lot, somebody comes from one of the neighbors to see what's happening. People actually walk across the street from the development across 60 to see what we're building and ask if we're the voodoo business, because it's got so much social media. People really want us there. The support that we got in letters from the businesses show that we shared our design plans, and we kept them in mind while we did the design plan to make sure our color scheme matched with the community, and we did some preservation of landscaping. We also are not asking for any other variances for our property. The other business I believe are welcoming us is because we're going to be a point of light there. That development has stagnated for well over a decade. All those lots should have been sold. They should have businesses on them. And the reason they don't is because they don't have something anchoring that community that will bring people out, because we're in the northeast corner of Valrico, out by Dover Road. And you know, all the strawberry fields start going out to Plant City over there. And that's why everybody's so excited, because those businesses know that if we build a real full-service restaurant, something that rivals something you'd see in Ybor City, that people won't drive west anymore to go to Tampa to go out to eat. They'll drive east to come see us. We'll have live entertainment and bring it out there. We get regular calls from social media influencers, and I just wanted to note that we were outed early on when we filed for our permit by Boker's Corner. They are a media outlet that talks about what's coming to the community. They actually posted pictures of our steel structure in the design elements and talked about it being a steel structure. People were so excited. We got over 100 positive comments, people linking to other people, talking about it coming to other people. They were so excited it was coming. And I get pinged, now that we have our Voodoo Valrico page up, I get pinged on a daily basis, people asking me when we're going to open. And people asking questions about the project, people suggesting what we can do for the community. We talked about the doors and the art, and now people want to know if we'll support charities and things like that, which we absolutely will. So we have a lot of outpouring from the community for support. Why grant this variance? Ma'am, I'm going to tell you, I am ultimately responsible for what I'm about to tell you. So as I tell you the story, know that as the owner, I am responsible, okay? We did our design in line with the intent of the code, to blend in with the community so we're not an eyesore next to the other buildings around us. We want to blend. We're in compliance with all our other aspects of the design code, landscaping, and everything. We're doing everything we can to preserve the historic charm of Valrico, preserving the oak tree, making sure our color scheme matches the rest of the development. We have tons of community support, and everyone knows what our design is and knows what's coming. Our steel structure, we did call the county when we asked to build a steel structure. Steel structure, we were told by the county, our GC called and our architect called, and the county said, yes, you can design a steel structure. So we put in our design for steel structure. The building permit was issued several months ago, and we started construction, but we're told that we had to put a 2-foot veneer on the building, on the side of the building, 3 sides. So when we got that request, I started investigating what the 2-foot veneer means. The steel building, this is the hardship we have. The steel building manufacturing warranty will be voided with that veneer because they're saying, hey, it wasn't designed with that intent. I asked some of the people who do these veneers. I've been to several companies. They're all marble-mouthed. They say, hey, we can't tell you if we're going to warranty our product that we put on your steel structure unless we see how it's applied and after it's applied and how it adheres and how it works, because your steel structure's not designed for this type of veneer. We found out through the variance process after we started our construction and our frame was up that the veneer is indeed not a 2-foot veneer that is in our building permit. It is a veneer all the way up. The building is not designed to have that veneer all the way up. I got my foot caught in the trap, ma'am. If we're not granted the variance and we have to go all the way up with some kind of skin on that building, it'll disrupt the structural integrity of the building. We'll have to tear down parts of the building. And I'm just a small business owner. I don't have the money or the wherewithal. And the reason we had to start construction was because the SBA loan only funds till September 5th. We went to the bank for an extension. They told us no. I believe they told us no because they know that lot is worth $400K more than I paid for it, and they want the lot. That's really the reality of it. So I have my foot caught in the trap. I'm not a wolf. If you let me out of the trap, I'm a Labrador. I'm going to be a point of light in the community. We're going to be something good out there. We've done everything we can to meet the intent of the building code and the ordinance that's there. And I understand that I have responsibility in this, and we're asking for help. The downside of granting the variance, I can't see one. If we skin the building, there's no structural issue for structural integrity that would make us skin the building. If we do skin the building or put the veneer, It'll interfere with the structural integrity of the building, create all sorts of warranty issues. And the reason I say it's a warranty issue because when the veneer is applied to steel, if any water gets behind it and trapped back there, it'll immediately rust in Florida. Everything rusts. If you can't do the treatments to the steel, it'll rust. If you can't do what you need to do, it'll just destroy the structural integrity of the building. The upside of this request is everything we will do for that community. Think about it if you bought a residence there back in 2004 and people said this is a master plan development that services we built on the lots, and there was just an Arby's, a Dollar General, and a Riley's Auto Parts, and a daycare, and 7 other vacant lots for over a decade. You know, we want to bring something to the community. When the owner of King's Mills that has the lots called me, he was so excited that for what we were building and what we were designing because he knows that that will help him sell those other lots and live up to what the family intended that development to be. And we want to give that to the residents. So, you know, I understand what I'm asking for. I understand that my part in it, we needed to go forward with the project. I'm here to answer any questions.
Let me ask you a question about the actual treatment of that corrugated steel. So the manufacturer delivers those panels, for lack of a better word, and they're red. It's
Yes.
It's already. You're not painting it. It's whatever their
it's
treatment
red.
is.
It's red from the manufacturer.
All right. So I understand that. And then go back just for my own information on this 2-foot veneer reference. Is that something from that you were told by the county that would be required because of the overlay district?
So they told us that after they issued our building permit. So I know I'm supposed to know the ordinances. I understand that. I understand my responsibility in it. We went with what we were told. I had a GC at the time and an architect that told me the steel building was fine. They checked with the county, and I trust the professionals to do the work that they're supposed to do. Our building permit was issued, and when our building permit was issued, we were told about the 2-foot veneer. So I very dutifully went out to the market to investigate 2-foot veneers. Because of the timeline, I said 2-foot veneer is just a matter of money. It's not a lot of money, you know, so let's do it. So I told them to put the steel structure up. They immediately poured the foundation. These things go up quick, man. We needed to go up quick because we only have until September 5th. So that's the rock and the hard place I was in. So I was investigating the veneers, and they were putting up in the concrete and putting the red iron, they call it, up for the frame. I was told by many of the companies, you know, through my GC and through the steel building manufacturer, that nobody's going to warranty their work. And that's the hardship that I have. And then when I filed for a variance. So when I filed for the variance, then we had to do the write-up, and Caroline, who wrote me back, said, hey, you know, Chris, you have to make an amendment to this because it's not a 2-foot veneer. It's actually skin the building. You know, after I panicked and my heart stopped when she told me that, I rewrote and resubmitted it, and then I started investigating that, and the problem only got worse. So that's why we're here asking for the variance, because really, the truth is, ma'am, you know, there's a building, and if you want to see a picture, I have it on the thumb drive. I could show it to you. I mean, construction sites are pretty ugly. It's not finished. The trim's not on it yet. But if we don't get the variance, the project's probably not going to go forward, and that building's going to be it's going to be a vacant building on that lot, and I'm probably going to go bankrupt.
All right, understood. Thank you. I appreciate it. You can submit whatever you'd like into the record, and if you could sign in with the clerk's office.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Is there anyone here that would like to speak in support? Anyone in favor? Seeing no one. Anyone in opposition to this request? All right, we'll go back to county staff. Ms. Marshall or Ms. Petal, whichever, I just want to clarify. So it's not a 2-foot veneer. It's an overall treatment of the building. Is that correct? I don't know where the 2 feet does not appear in the code. Is that right?
Hello, Caroline Petal, Development Services. No, that was not a part of the code.
Okay. I just wanted to clarify where that came from. So the requirement is that it be, that's why I asked originally, that architecturally finished. That's not a defined term. That's an interpretation of the requirement in this overlay.
Correct.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Sir, you have the last word as a rebuttal if you'd like. You don't have to take it.
Thank you, Simon.
All right, thank you so much. I appreciate it. All right, with that, we'll close variance 24-0440 and go to the next case.
Next item is item H4, variance 24-0441, 478. The applicant is Jerry Hoffman. The request is a variance to lot development standards. Staff findings will be provided by Isis Brown.
Good morning.
Good morning, Isis Brown, Development Services, variance 24-0478. The applicant is requesting variances to accommodate an existing single-family dwelling on a property zoned RSC 6. The first variance per section LDC section 6.0101, a minimum of 25 feet is required in the front yard. In the RSC zoning district. The applicant is requesting a 3.5-foot variance to allow 21.5 feet in the front yard. That's on the west of the property. And the second variance per LDC section 6.0101, a minimum of 7.5 feet is required in the side yard in the RSC zoning district. And the applicant is requesting a 0.5, so 6 inches variance on the north side of the property, north rear side, to allow a 7-foot variance in the side yard. Additional findings, there is an NCL on this property, an approved NCL, NCL 24-0589, and it's in the record. The property is currently 5,227 square feet, and it's supposed to be a minimum of 7,000 square feet. And the subject parcel was also cited per citation HC CMP 23-0000424 for failure to not pulling a permit before construction, and that's also in the records. I'm available for any questions.
Just one quick one. I was reading the backup, and the applicant's narrative letter says that they're also asking for a variance for a 6-foot fence in the front yard. Are you aware of that?
Negative.
Okay, we'll ask the applicant when they come and see if that is a part of it. All right, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Is the applicant here? Good morning.
Good morning, Madam Hearing Officer. I'm Jerry Hoffman, 4536 Oak River Circle, Valrico, 33596. First of all, I don't have clients. I just have friends. I'm not a professional presenter. I'm friends of theirs for years. The Munozes bought the property and began to repair it, and in the repair process saw that there was a lot of old damage in a mobile home, and then they began to recondition it. They went too far without a permit, and we recognize that. We have since hired a structural engineer to come on board to evaluate what would have to be done to produce a full set of working drawings predicated on receiving the variance of the front setback, which is the primary requirement. The property, Ms. Brown just referred to a non-conforming lot use. So we started with variance hearing, and then Ms. Brown approached us and said, you're not in compliance with your lot. So we began that non-compliance lot process, only to be kind of confused because obviously it's another process and it's another $274, and the story goes on. But so I wanted to share with are you able to pull that? She said that's part of the record. Do I need to put it on here, or you can look at that?
You could just put it right on the Elmo there and talk
Okay.
off of it.
Okay.
And then you can submit it into the record if it's not already. Just turn it over.
Turn.
There you go.
There we go. So you can see this was approved just.
Sir, just pull that microphone over to you.
I'm sorry.
There you go.
This was approved just earlier in the month. And the point was is when we first went for our counseling on the variance hearing, they had expressed to us that, I guess I should back up one more time. These are the tax, I'll go back to that. These are the tax sheets I'm just going to slide it forward to page 2. No, that won't work. So the second page will show that this was always zoned RSC 6, and it's Vern's re-subdivision, Lot 5 of Block 3. Well, that subdivision was approved on September 29th of 1929, almost 100 years ago. And they were all designed as 50 by 100 foot lots. That's what they own. So it's exactly 5,200 feet. When we went for our first counseling for the variance, excuse me, they shared, well, this is zoned RSC 6, but you're not an RSC 6 lot. If you were RSC 9, I believe is what they referred to, you would only need a minimum 5,000 square foot lot. And then your setback on the front would have been 20 foot and 5 foot on the sides. But because they called it RSC 6, and nobody knows why, you have to apply for a variance. So once we began to apply for the variance, then Ms. Brown asked us to go ahead and do the NCL, which says apply now for a non-conforming lot. You should have had 7,000 square feet to be that zoned lot, and then required those setbacks. So we're kind of caught in this we're like on the treadmill. And the owners are so humble, and they're doing all this work themselves and with family and with friends. So it's an incredible project that they've undertaken. This then is the survey, so you'll see the actual dwelling is a little bit cattywampus. So we have 7.5 feet on the front. I don't know if I can point to that. But we meet the side setback on the front, and the rear of the structure is 6 inches off. In the front, we are, excuse me one second. In the front, we are both 2 foot 3 inches short of the setback, and on the other corner, we're 3.5 feet short. So on an average, we're asking for a 22.1 foot setback and a 25 foot required front setback. Our application for the non-conforming lot and page 8 of 11, number 2, is please see the attached addendum, pages 1 of 2, the front property setbacks, and then also the fence in the front yard from a 4 to a 6 foot tall. So it is included in that variance.
All right, we'll double check that, because that's not referenced in the staff report at all, and I'm just
Okay.
concerned that that was not a part of the notice. So if we could check and see if that was advertised, that fence in the front yard. But let me, if I could just ask you a couple
Sure.
of clarifying questions while we're looking that up. You mentioned in the beginning of your presentation that you said the structure was a mobile home, is that correct?
Correct.
All right. And then when you put your non-conforming lot letter on the overhead, I believe it said the property was zoned RSC 6 mobile home, is that correct?
Well, that's the first time I've seen if you look then on the,
Because the staff report says RSC 6 it doesn't reference a mobile home, neither does the agenda.
yeah,
But then your survey, there's some contrary documents here. So the survey you showed a minute ago said, I believe it called it the structure frame housing. And so it leads me to my first question, which was, when you say the property owners were altering the perimeter of the structure, did they change the footprint when they bought the property? Was that structure there?
No, they're going straight down now, but they're going to be required to put a whole structural footer in there because of how they're improving the
Okay,
skin.
so it goes to my question of, was the structure there when they bought it in its current location?
Yes.
Okay,
correct.
so they didn't create that setback issue. All right. And then you have said, and my second question was, are you requesting the fence in the front yard? And you said yes to that,
Yes.
the 6-foot fence. Okay. Was that fence there
The fence
when they
was-
bought it?
Fence was also there.
Okay.
And they have children, and the neighborhood has some serious dogs.
Okay.
So that's a help that would be very safe for them to do that. And then,
Do you have something else you want to add before we move on?
One real quick
Okay,
thing then on that
sure.
letter. Ms. Brown, do you have a copy of the letter faster than I do that was sent out? For the variance hearing?
You mean the adjacent property notice? We
Yes.
can look that up. We can look that up.
There it is. And it just states that it was a variance, as I see that.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Mhm.
All right. All
But on
right.
our application, it did say that.
Yeah, yeah, I read it in your narrative.
Okay.
So, all right, those are my only questions unless you had anything else.
Just, we humbly request your support, and they would love to make an improvement there. I do have one letter I'd like to introduce. Their neighbor immediately to the south, their next-door neighbor. This has also been provided to staff, but she supports what they're doing there. And I'll be
And
glad to,
this person is next door?
immediately to their south.
Okay.
Abutting them to the south.
Okay. Oh, I do see that in the record, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I did see that letter. All right, perfect. Thank you very much. I
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Thank
You can
you.
please sign in with the clerk's
Will do.
office.
Thank you.
And you're welcome to submit whatever documents you'd like into the record.
I think you have everything, but. Yeah, not, she said.
All right, thank you so much. Is there anyone in the room or online that would like to speak in support? Anyone in favor? Seeing no one, anyone in opposition to this request? All right. Sir, did you want to speak at all?
Just thank you.
Oh, no, someone in the audience stood up for a second. No?
My dad would like to speak in support.
Sure, yeah. Go ahead and come forward. So you're going to testify in support?
And they swore.
Perfect. Perfect. If you could just give us your name and address to start.
Yeah, my name is Miguel Munoz. I live in 8750 Barson Circle, Riverview. Anyway, can my
Can I translate for him?
Absolutely. Just give us your name and address, and then you can translate.
My name is Angel Muniz. My address is 8750 Barson Circle, Riverview, Florida 33578.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Dile que solamente queremos construir la casa para tener un lugar donde vivir.
We would just love to build a home, to have a place for it to live with our family.
Cometimos un error al no investigar completamente lo que necesitábamos para hacer la casa.
We acknowledge that we made a mistake in not fully researching what we need and the permits we needed and the setbacks we had.
Y esperemos que nos den la
We would love to better the community. It would improve the prices there too, and we just hope that we could get the variant. It would just be our first home that we own that we would like to have.
Sí, no nos costaría un poco de dinero.
And it would cost us a financial burden because we already invested this with no loan. It was at all out of pocket, and we would just love to get this variant.
Que ojalá.
Yeah, no más gracias.
Sí.
Okay. Thank you. That'll be all.
Thank you so much. If you could both sign in, I appreciate it. All right, so we called for persons in support and opposition, and we'll go back to Development Services.
Fortunately, the fence variance was inadvertently missed by staff. It was not noticed, so the applicant would have either the option to continue without that fence variance or move forward without the fence variance or continue to the next available hearing so that could be properly noticed.
Is that based on the notice letter that went out? Is that your opinion? Because it didn't specify what kind of variance. If that's your position, that's fine. I'm just asking. Hang on one second. Because the gentleman showed a copy of the notice letter that just said the word variance. It didn't specify front or side or anything. If you need an opportunity to review it, then that I certainly understand.
Yes, let me just pull it back up.
No, sir, just 1 second, please.
Sorry.
Thanks. No, that's okay.
The nature of request just indicated the variance to lot development standards, and unfortunately would have had to also include the variance to fence requirements.
Okay. So they would need to continue, and would they be required to renotice?
Yes.
Okay. All right. All right. Did you have anything you wanted to add before I move on, besides that?
No.
Okay, thank you so much. Sir, go ahead, come forward. Give us your name just one real quick.
Thank you, Jerry Hoffman.
Do you understand what just happened?
Well, I understand what happened, but I discussed that with staff. And I don't know if that's how it was added to when we submitted that. It was discussed. I mean, specifically discussed, because I even went to the point to put that the fence is 5'6" and the gate is 6 foot. We went back out and measured that, he and I did. So we did.
Let me get their comments.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Fortunately, because it was not noticed, it would unfortunately have to continue.
Can you show the applicant's representative, maybe Ms. Brown, you can show him the notice letter where it needed to say the fence rather than just lot development standards, and maybe that'll clear up the confusion.
So does that mean we continue or start a whole new variance?
No, you just continue. You just continue. Rosa, what's the next date? June 24th. Okay, this is. Okay, sure.
Would we come back next month or 2 months?
They're telling me the next date would be June 24th. You'd come back. If you could come on the record, all of this back and forth has to be on the record, on the microphone.
Is there a way to come before June 24th?
Let's talk to staff. There's noticing requirements, so.
Okay. Well, I don't know that date for sure, so I can communicate back to Ms. Brown and tell her either June 24th or then to July would be the next one, is that?
June 24th would be the next one.
And what would be the one following that, then in July?
July 29th.
Okay, let me come back to them with that. But let me
Absolutely.
make sure the fence is important real quick if they want to.
Yes, if you'd like to withdraw that, then we could move forward. Absolutely.
Madam Hearing Officer, I guess the question would be, hate to start it over, because it's exposed to the weather, I hate to let their house continue 2 more months longer. They'll start working like little beavers, right away. Is there any way to get a reading on what your ruling would be on the first one, and we would come back for a continuance on the?
No, it's not how it works. But what you could do is you could withdraw the fence from today's application. We could move on through the process, and my decision would be issued within 15 business days following today.
Okay.
And then in the future, they could come back and file a new variance if they'd like for the fence.
Can they do that at no charge then? Can they do that? Because that's,
If you can ask for a fee waiver, that would be up to staff. Whether
because that's 1985 that they paid and it wasn't their, that would be the most, the biggest.
You'd have to justify the fee waiver, Ms. Marshall?
Yes, you could request a fee waiver based on staff error. That also goes to the hearing officer who renders the decision on the fee waiver. And if that was approved, then the money for that variance would be refunded to you.
For the next variance?
Yes.
And so you come two more, so you have to come to that hearing first?
It can run concurrently with the new.
Oh, okay, okay. Let's do that, because that way we can start with your ruling on this decision, and then, is that fair? Is that all right?
Oh, that works for me, absolutely.
Is that all right?
All right.
And thank you.
Thank you. No, I appreciate your patience.
No,
So,
thank you.
so just for the record, we're going to withdraw the fence, you're going to withdraw the fence portion of this application, and we're only moving forward with the setbacks, the 2 setback variances for the single family.
Please.
Yes,
Please.
okay. All right. Did
With
you
the-
have anything
With
else?
the intent of coming back and doing that procedure.
Yes, that will be, the fee waiver and the fence variance is a
Okay.
completely separate application. Did you have anything else before I close?
And thank you.
All right, thank you very much.
very much.
Staff, did you have anything else you wanted to add before I close?
No.
All right, thank you so much. Then with that, we'll close variance 24-0478 and go to the next case.
Next item is item H5, variance 240498. The applicant is Jorge Luis Capdevila II and Marlene Capdevila. The request is a variance to the Citrus Park Village Development Standards. Staff findings will be provided by Carolyn Peddle.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Carolyn Peddle, Development Services, variance 24-0498. The applicant requests a variance in order to build a single-family residential unit in the Citrus Park Village Overlay District. Per section, per LDC section 310-0601.
Ms. Peddle, can you bring that microphone a little bit towards you? There you go.
Sorry
Perfect.
about that.
That's okay, thank you.
Per section 310-0601, the new development shall occur in a block pattern. Each block shall be rectangular in shape and framed by public streets on at least 3 sides. The maximum length of any block face shall be 650 feet. Variances to these requirements may be allowed in accordance with Part 1104 of this code, only to the minimum degree necessary to accommodate irregular parcel boundaries, natural features, or existing development pattern on adjacent properties. So the request is the maximum existing block pattern, maintain the existing block pattern and allow parcels to be accessed by a single easement. And then per LDC section 310-0607, the front of all principal buildings should face an improved street right-of-way and shall not be separated by the right-of-way by another building, stormwater facility, common parking area, or driveway serving more than one dwelling unit. On parcels with multiple street frontages, buildings shall front the street with a higher functioning classification or a block face with relatively greater length to the maximum extent possible before facing another street. Variances to these frontage requirements may be approved in accordance with Part 1104 of this code only for projects with unusual site constraints, which restrict the number and/or shape of the block which may be created. In such cases, however, the developer shall be required to create the maximum number of blocks possible to provide the greatest amount of street frontage for the proposed principal structures. So request 1 is to allow the building to face an easement rather than an improved street right-of-way. And then the request 2 is allow the building to be separated from the right-of-way by another building and a driveway serving more than one building or dwelling unit. LDC section 310-12G, a garage is required for each dwelling unit. The entry face of a garage accessed through a front yard, including a front yard functioning as a side yard, shall be set back a minimum of 20 feet for the property line from which it is accessed. Additionally, garages shall be placed at least 5 feet further from the street than the front plane of the principal building. excluding covered porches if present. And the request is to eliminate the requirement that garages shall be placed at least 5 feet further from the street than the front plane of the principal building. That concludes my report.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank
Is
you.
the applicant here? Good morning.
Morning, Madam Hearing Officer. Chris McNeil, 15957 North Florida Avenue, on behalf of the applicant. I appreciate you letting us come before you this morning. Again, this is the site's located in the Citrus Park area. There's actually, the next two cases are with this as well, as you might have noticed. This particular one is for Lot 2, which is right in the center of this overall recent plat, part that's called King's Landing. This is actually part of the original Citrus Park plat that was recorded back in 1913. There were a total of 6 lots in this area, and it's been replatted to 3. As part of this, I wanted to point out, you can see that the right-of-way, how this was configured in a block pattern at the time. So the lots that were recut are in the same orientation as they were. One of the differences is that along the south side of the original plat, you can tell that there was right-of-way there as it was through that block pattern, and now on the south side of these, it's in an easement, which is a little bit larger than half of that vacated right-of-way. So there's the minimum requirement for the access easement is 30 feet. Otherwise, if you were putting a road back in there, it could have been 25 either side. So 5 feet. I'll come back to that here in a little bit later. But the main thing, one of the main things here to note is that they're originally, oriented as they originally were. So as part of the final plat process, they were required to, the applicant was required to design, permit, install utilities. So number one for that was the sanitary sewer. That was all done and completed prior to the recordation of the final plat. So that is in, and these are those references of that. So zooming in and focusing in on Lot 2 a little bit more specifically. As you might imagine, because of that original design of the plat, the lots that are adjacent to the north, they face the north. This lot desired to face to the south, and matching in that same harmony that it would otherwise be in the neighbors. There's another request about the garage, in the same similar spirit of that, is that the garage would face south, the house would face south. Part of the difference there is that instead of being the public easement that it was, now it's a private easement, but it's also being shielded from the public right-of-way by screening and designated by that green line. It would be buffering and screening around the property. So there will be no real visual view of any garage frontage by anybody traveling in the Citrus Park subdivision. The access easement for use, it serves as the right-of-way use for the access to the private subdivision. So in that block pattern where it has to be directly adjacent to, or no buildings can be between it and the right-of-way, it's kind of in the same spirit of reestablishing that former right-of-way, so that it's really directly adjacent to the right-of-way that's serving the subdivision, although it's not public, it's private. And then lastly, the one that, requires it to be done in a block pattern. If you were to put a right-of-way on either side or 3 sides of this lot, obviously it would render it undevelopable. So the hardships and difficulties are definitely unique and not suffered similarly located because of those adjacent lots originally being all part of the Citrus Park overall subdivision. And so this is just almost kind of an infill, taking it back to the way it was originally intended. And the literal requirements of actually applying them would, as you can see, would render the lot undevelopable, if I'm saying that correctly. So the request and the variance, they in no way interfere or injure the rights of others. In fact, the harmony of having the backyards together makes a lot of sense. Facing them opposite directions makes a lot of sense. Everything, because basically it's going back to the original intended orientation and design. There's no code enforcement action on any of the parcels. All the procedures, permits, and processes have been followed, and allowing the building permit to move forward, which is where they're at now. Building permits are in place, which is what this was triggered by, would definitely allow the dwelling units to be constructed in a much-needed time. And with that, I close for any questions.
No questions at this time, but thank you so much. If you could please sign in. Is there anyone in the room or online that would like to speak in support? Anyone in favor? Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. My name is Marlene Capdevilla. I live at 7021 Briar Hill Court, 33625. That's going to be my son's house and my house, the one in the middle. But I'm afraid I'm the one responsible for getting all this started because these are three best friends who have become successful in their jobs. And I told them the first thing they have to do is buy a home. So they set out to find property where they could live next door to each other. And it's been a long process. Sometimes I think they look at me and think, why did she get us into this? But it's a dream for all three of them. Two of them are entrepreneurs and one of them is a doctor. So I would love to be able for them to get this project going. They've been excited about it for so long. They only intend to develop the area in a positive way, and I hope everything works out for them. Thank you.
Thank you for coming down. I appreciate it. If you could please sign in. Anyone else to speak in support? Seeing no one, anyone in opposition to this request? All right, county staff, anything else?
Nothing further.
All right, thank you. Mr. McNeil, you have the last word if you'd like it.
No, ma'am, thank you.
All right, thank you. Stay close because you have the next couple, right? All right, then with that, we'll close variance 24-0498 and go to the next case.
Next item is item H6, variance 240499. The applicant is Koi the Kim Nijin and Gia That Tran. The request is a variance to the Citrus Park Village development standards, and staff findings will be presented by Carolyn Peddle.
Good morning. Carolyn Peddle, Development Services, variance 24-0499. The applicant requests a variance in order to build a single-family residential unit in the Citrus Park Village Overlay District. Per LDC Section 310-0601, new development shall occur in a block pattern. Each block shall be rectangular in shape and framed by public streets on at least 3 sides. The maximum length of any block face shall be 650 feet. Variances to these requirements may be allowed in accordance with Part 1104 of this code, only to the minimum degree necessary to accommodate irregular parcel boundaries, natural features, or existing development patterns on the adjacent properties. The request is to maintain the existing block pattern and allow the homes to be accessed by a single easement. Per LDC Section 310-0607, the front of all principal buildings shall face an improved street right-of-way and shall not be separated by the right-of-way by another building, stormwater facility, common parking area, or driveway, serving more than one dwelling unit. On parcels with minimum street frontages, buildings shall front the street with higher functioning classification or building face with relatively greater length to the maximum extent possible before facing another street. Variances to these frontage requirements may be approved in accordance with Part 1104 of this code, only for projects with unusual site constraints which restrict the number and/or shape of the block which may be created. In such cases, however, the developer shall be required to create a maximum number of blocks possible to provide the greatest amount of street frontage for the proposed principal structures. Request 1, allow the building to face south along the ingress-egress easement rather than the improved street right-of-way. And the second is to allow the building to be separated from the right-of-way by a driveway serving more than one dwelling unit. Per Section 310-12G, a garage is required for each dwelling unit. The entry face of a garage facing through access through a front yard, including a front yard functioning as a side yard, shall be set back a minimum of 20 feet from the property line which it is accessed. Additionally, garages shall be placed at least 5 feet further from the street than the front plane of the principal building, excluding covered porches if present. The request is to eliminate the requirement that garages shall be placed at least 5 feet further from the street than the front plane of the principal building.
Thank you. Appreciate it. All right, the applicant.
Good morning, Ms. Finch again. Thank you so much for letting us be here this morning. Like the previous presentation or case, the location still the same, the subdivision, the same 3 lots, same area. This one, again, is focusing in on Lot 1, but oriented the same. All 3 lots are oriented exactly the same in harmony with each other and relative to the original Citrus Park plat. Infrastructure was put in for this lot as well. There was actually individual private pump stations added for each lot previous to that final plat being approved. And this is Lot 1. So Lot 1, again, to face the south, as this one's a little bit different and unique in that it has a driveway access that is directly adjacent to Burkford. One of the processes we had to go through for the final plat was that we, rather than establishing the drive in the original location for the where the public right-of-way was, which was our initial intent, it was staff's request through transportation the driveway be located further north to provide additional spacing and to be in harmony with the school that's to the east. And so we went through the administrative variance process to get that driveway location approved. So you can see that location here. Of where that is. And so to be able to keep the orientation as it always was, backyard to backyard, then we had to proceed with a section of easement along, going back to the south to be able to get to the front along the south side of the 3 lots. So that's the reason for the orientation and the location of the driveway the way that it is. So with that, the garage facing away, it's really, in this case, buffered by that by the wall or screening that's going to be there surrounding these 3 lots. But additionally, as you see that red arrow, it's really kind of set back from the right-of-way more than 5 feet would be in this case. And so it's from the view from the right-of-way that if you could see it through the screening and buffering, it would be more than 5 feet from that perspective. But it's be relative to the south and the King's Landing Lane, which is very common in the area as well. There's not a, I don't know what percentage it would be, but not a lot of them are recessed back. There's quite a few that aren't. So with that in mind, the access serves as the right-of-way for the subdivision. This is the first portion of it, as you saw previously in Lot 2, the next piece, but this is the basically the private right-of-way for them. If we were to provide right-of-way on 3 sides, it would render this lot as well unusable and undevelopable. And that concludes, yes, ma'am.
Oh, I'm sorry. So that, the direct access to Burkford, that was an administrative variance that you received?
Yes, ma'am.
That you
That's
moved,
correct.
You moved it forward?
Yes, ma'am, that's correct.
Okay, perfect. All right.
100%.
That was my only question. Thank you so much.
Could you restate your name for the record, please?
Chris McNeil.
Thank you.
Yep.
All right, Mr. McNeil, if you could sign in. Is there anyone who would like to speak in support? Anyone in favor? All right, seeing no one, anyone in opposition? No one? Ms. Marshall, anything else?
Nothing further.
All right, Mr.
Thank you.
McNeil? Anything on rebuttal?
No, ma'am, thank you.
All right, thank you. Then we'll close variance 24-0499 and go to the next case.
Next item is item H7, variance 24-0500. The applicant is Ferdian Jap and Thai Kim Thai Najin. The request is a variance to the Citrus Park Village development standards, and staff findings will be provided by Carol Ann Peddle.
Good morning.
Morning.
Carol Ann Peddle, Development Services, variance 24-0500. The applicant requests multiple variances in order to build a single-family residential unit in the Citrus Park Village Overlay District. Per LDC Section 310-0601, new development shall occur in a block pattern Each block shall be rectangular in shape and framed by public streets on at least 3 sides. The maximum length of any block face shall be 600 feet. Variances to these requirements may be allowed in accordance with Part 1104 of this code only to the minimum degree necessary to accommodate irregular parcel boundaries, natural features, or existing development patterns on adjacent properties. The request is to maintain the existing block pattern and allow the homes to be accessed by a single easement. Per LDC Section 3.100607, the front of all principal buildings shall face an improved street right-of-way and shall not be separated from the right-of-way by another building, stormwater facility, common parking area, or driveway, serving more than one dwelling unit. On parcels with multiple street frontages, buildings shall front the street with the highest functioning classification or block face with relatively greater length to the maximum extent possible before facing another street. Variances to these frontage requirements may be approved in accordance with Part 1104 of this code only for projects with unusual site constraints, which restrict the number and/or shape of the block which may be created. In such cases, however, the developer shall be required to create the maximum number of blocks possible to provide the greatest amount of street frontage for the proposed principal structures. Request 1, allow the building to face south along the easement rather than improve street right-of-way. And request 2 is allow the building to be separated from the right-of-way by 2 buildings and a driveway serving more than one dwelling unit. Per LDC Section 31012G, a garage is required for each dwelling unit. The entry face of a garage accessed through a front yard, including a front yard functioning as a side yard, shall be set back a minimum of 20 feet from the property line from which it is being accessed. Additionally, garages shall be placed at least 5 feet further from the street than the front plane of the principal building, excluding covered porches if present. The request is to eliminate the requirement that garages shall be placed at least 5 feet further from the street than the front plane of the principal building.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. The applicant.
Morning, Madam Hearing Officer. I appreciate the, again, final case here, Lot 3 of these. 3, Citrus Park, the same 3 lots. And we have, again, 6 originally platted lots going to 3 with the same orientation platted, and part of the requirements of the plat was the utility installation, which was done for this lot as well. Same orientation here, all in harmony with each other and with the neighbors. The garage placement being faced towards the private easement as well. And this particular lot, the easement goes to the lot but doesn't go through the lot, but it still serves the same as the extended driveway portion. Again, relative from the public right-of-way, the garage is more than setback, but also has that requirement of not being separated by another building. So the building orientation, again, the easement serving as their private right-of-way, and if you were to cut in all the right-of-ways on 3 sides of this parcel, no surprise here, it would render this undevelopable as well. And just want to reiterate with all of them that the hardships and difficulties are unique to these 3. The rest of the platted commercial park, or excuse me, Citrus Park is still in its original configuration. This area is unique to that. Why it was undone, we don't know, but trying to reestablish that to those similarly located. The literal requirement would deprive the owners and render the parcels undevelopable, as you can see. The requested variances in no way interfere with or injure the rights of others in the area, and allowing them would allow this to be developed not only in harmony, but to be able to be done now to provide some much needed dwelling for these gentlemen that are looking forward to living and being neighbors together. So with that, I'd like to close if you have any questions.
Let me ask you 2 questions. First, the clerk will ask you to put your name and address on the record for this one. Go ahead.
Chris McNeil, 15957 North Florida Avenue, Loop.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
No problem.
And then secondly, it looked like that driveway for this is lot 3, goes through the wetland area, conservation area setback. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am. Currently, it's shown on this exhibit, and that needs to be adjusted a little bit. but it is shown right now in the setback area. If you see there's enough room for it to get by and be outside the setback area, should that be needed, but I do know that there's some encroachments allowed to some distance for pervious driveways.
And have you previously received a variance for that?
We have not for any, there's no setback variance encroachment approved, so that driveway that's showing there would need to be adjusted somewhat to be
So you'll either
outside.
pull it out of the setback or come back?
Pull it out
for a
or come
variance.
back or make it pervious to, there's some encroachment allowed, I believe, still for
Okay,
pervious
but not a
material.
part of this application?
Correct, that's
Got
correct.
it.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, that was my only two questions. Thank
Yes,
you so much, I appreciate it. Is there anyone in the room or online that would like to speak in support? Anyone in favor? Seeing no one, anyone in opposition? No one. Ms. Marshall, anything else?
Nothing further,
All right,
thank you.
Mr. McNeil, you have the last word.
Thank you for your time.
All right, thank you. Then with that, we'll close variance 24-0500. Seems like a good time for a break. We'll take a 5-minute break. The clock on the back of the wall, if you could be back in 5 minutes, which would be 10:45. Appreciate it. Good morning and welcome back to the April 22nd, 2024 Land Use Hearing Officer hearing. We are back from our break and we're ready to call the next case. Ms. Marshall.
This brings us to Section I, Special Uses. Item I-1, Special Use 24-374. The applicant is Tacos Las Californias OG LLC. The request is a special use 2 COP alcoholic beverage permit with separation waivers. Staff findings will be provided by Tanya Chapella after presentation by the applicant.
All right, so the applicant goes first. Is the applicant here? Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. My name is Terry Haley. I reside at 108 Clock Tower Drive, number 157 in Brandon, 33510. I am representing Taco Las Californias OG LLC, doing business as Taco Las Californias. And we are seeking a 2 COP permit for the sale of beer and wine in connection with their restaurant. My owner, Taco Las Californias, they have been at the location for about 2.5 years now. Business continues to grow. We would consider it successful. And one of the requests from we get from customers and surrounding area is, can we have an ice cold beer or some sangria with our delicious tacos? So we are requesting that. We have come into the need of a couple waivers. One is distance waivers from community uses. Within 500 feet, we do have 2 of them. One of them, the farthest away, it is a children's learning center, and it is, on our survey shows that it's 492 feet away, so it's within 8 feet of missing the need for the waiver. However, directly to the rear of our property, which is the north, 6 feet from our property line, or from our, actually it's measured from our premise to their property line, is the way the wet zone surveys are conducted. We only come in at 6 feet, so we're asking for a pretty huge one there. Our support, or our defense, if you will, with being so close is that the Children's Learning Center, Sunshine Learning Center to be exact, is directly behind our building. All of our business entering both from the highway and into the building, entering and leaving, is on the south side, so we're directly opposite of each other. The Child Care Center receives their business from Kelly Road, which is adjacent. It is on the west side of our property, and their entrance and doorway faces the westerly direction. If you go farther, we feel that we are somewhat on opposite hours of operation. I don't know a whole lot about child care learning centers, but I would say most of their business drop off and stuff happens early in the morning and probably mid to later in the afternoon. Our business, we open at 11 o'clock, 10 to 11 o'clock daily. So we've missed the morning rush at the Child Care Center. And then the peak of our business is about, I would assume, our dinner time is probably 7 till about 8:30, the peak. So again, we've missed the peak hours of their pickup. There is a 6-foot fence between the 2 of us in separation. We don't feel that we cause any negative or impact on them that would interfere with their business as well as ours. In fact, many of their parents are customers at the restaurant. And we would like to stress very much that we are a restaurant. We're not a drinking establishment. So that in my opinion, covers the need for the waivers for the community use. We also have a couple residents who don't meet the criteria as far as the 250 feet distance. However, we are located on Memorial Highway. Kelly Road is a major cut through or pass through to other areas, Memorial heading east and west, Kelly north and south. Our business is separated from these residential, A, by the highways, which they are multiple lane roads. Then you get to the properties. To the south, we're separated by block wall, and others to the west and say to the east, there are what I'm going to call, I think it's called wrought iron or something, but the iron type separation fences. So as the bird flies, these measurements may be under the 250, but both pedestrian walking and vehicle, it would take you well over the 250 feet if you know, unless you're going to decide to jump the wall. If you're going to jaywalk, you're not going to go, but proper path takes you well out of the, puts us well into the required 250. So again, we feel a lot of these people are customers. A lot of them even walk to our facility because it is a neighborhood business. Other than that, I hope I've covered enough of the waivers. I'm certainly open to any questions or anything concerning it.
I do have a couple of questions. One was, have you talked to the Sunshine Learning Center, the manager or so forth?
I did not, no ma'am. I do believe our owner did. I do believe there was some opposition, a letter mailed in. As far as that, I can either address that now. I was going to wait and see if it's opposed as opposition today, and then I have a rebuttal on it.
Okay. They did write a letter in opposition and said that they've had trouble with the, and you answered my question that it's an existing business and they have can you confirm they have an existing packaged alcoholic beverage sales license?
The property does. Prior to them moving in, it was operated as a convenience store type market. And should I go ahead and elaborate on this at this time?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so in doing so, my owner was not openly aware. A lot of their negativity was, what I gathered out of it was, say, like the homeless, you know, or people in the neighborhood, kind of from what reading the letter, overindulged maybe and found that as a campground, you know, a place to crash. However, prior to that, like I say, in the 2.5 years there, we have not sold any alcohol. So my assumption, most of this alcohol was obtained by the convenience store gas station, which is located to the west of us on the other side of Kelly Road. It also faces to the South Memorial, so it's adjacent to the restaurant and somewhat across the street from the Child Learning Center. That would be my assumption where they got it. So in defense of or to justify their letter in talking to my owner, that they do not recall of anything or whatever. So what I did as research, and I have, which I would like to enter, I did a 10-year backup on calls, 911 calls or calls to the governing law agency there is Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office. So I got a report from them, and this is, first of all, I did it on our property, our address, the Memorial Highway, and I did a 10-year on that. And if you research the cases that that were given, none of them were described as anything like that. A lot of them were a crash, and that was the thing. There was one trespassing that was kind of recent. If you looked at the things, it looked like it might have been like a warrant for someone, and they found them at that address. Meanwhile, I then went back and I did a 5-year research on the address of the Learning Center, which is on Kelly Road. And in the 5-year, they had closest thing was one trespass visit, but in reading, okay, first of all, a lot of the information is redacted on these reports, and I didn't feel it necessary to research any of them any deeper than the report. It looked as though that was maybe some type of domestic that leaked into the school, and then one or a parent or someone involved with that student had a trespassing order. Okay, and other than that, like they say, there were no cases shown of delinquency or of the homeless doing things they shouldn't do there. So
is it, you said that this establishment, your client, hasn't had alcoholic beverage sales in 2.5 years?
Correct.
Even though it's wet zoned, they haven't used it?
Correct. It was I believe a 2AP. Packaged beer, wine, and that was for the previous market and stuff. Okay. So there have been no alcohol sales prior or during my the tenure of my client.
Thank you for that.
And
I appreciate it.
Also, something I'll put out there that all of our business is conducted inside. There is no outside seating, parking. There's none extended on the side of the building or anything. It's all, again, totally opposite sides.
All right, and then just a few more questions. One is the staff report, which I assume comes from your justification statements that you filed in the record, says that the Learning Center is separated by your client's business by a 6-foot-high fence, and that there's no pedestrian access between the two.
Correct.
Now, I haven't been to the property yet, but I will. But I looked at Google Earth, and I have some photos here that show the two. And there's a direct sidewalk that leads from your client's parking lot to the parking lot of the Sunshine Learning Center.
On the Kelly Road.
On Kelly Road, yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah, I misinterpreted that. I was saying there's no pass-through on the north side. The wall, there's no gates or no breaks in the fence. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I do. I just want to confirm.
I did not verify or didn't quote the sidewalk on the west side of the building.
So that is still existing?
Yes.
Okay, and then finally...
It is a public sidewalk.
Thank you. And then finally, my last question is, the proposed conditions for this show an hours of operation restricted to 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. Monday through Sunday.
That's absolutely no problem.
Okay, but my question is, in your written statement that was submitted with the application, it says, our business will only serve alcohol between the hours of 11 a.m. and 8 p.m., except for Sundays.
That was in my written statement. However, staff came back with we would much rather have the larger amount of hours. Does that make sense?
I assume that was the case,
yes.
But I'm asking, so you're not requesting that limitation of alcohol sales only till 8 p.m.? You would like it to be until 10 p.m., is that correct?
It would be much better for the entire time our business is open. And again, to elaborate, that all of our alcohol sales would be consumption on premise.
Understood. And just to clarify, you're asking for a 2COP without the restaurant restriction? It's not a 2COPR?
Right,
Okay.
right.
All right. That was my other questions. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. If
Okay.
you could please sign in. All right, we'll go to Development
Thank you.
Services. Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. Tanya Chapela, Development Services. This is the special use AB 240374. The applicant is requesting a 2 COP alcoholic beverage permit with distance separation waivers to allow for a restaurant at 5635 Memorial Highway. The first waiver, the applicant requested a waiver to certain community uses. The required separation is 500 feet. The waiver distance is 494 feet with a resulting separation of 6 feet. The second one is the distance from proposed structure to residentially zoned property. The required separation is 250 feet. The waiver distance is 131 feet, and the resulting separation is 119 feet. The proposed wet zone area faces south towards Memorial Highway, and the entrance is along the south side of the building, away from the existing childcare centers and church located to the north. The proposed restaurant has no outdoor seating, decreasing the potential for any noise impacts. The closest community use, the Sunshine Children's Learning Center, is separated from the proposed wet zone area by a 6-foot high PVC fence. To travel between the proposed restaurant and the childcare center, pedestrian and vehicular traffic must exit onto the Kelly Road sidewalk and right away. But no pedestrian or vehicular traffic is permitted directly between the two properties. So they have to go out through the road.
I just want to stop you at that point because it's very clear from the photos that are on Google Earth, there's a very obvious sidewalk between these two properties that allow pedestrian access. And I'm not saying that, I'm sure that that was what he wrote in his application, but that is not correct. There's a very clear pedestrian access between the two. Go ahead.
Per LDC Section 61111I, permits hours of operation for alcoholic beverage sales within Hillsborough County from Monday through Saturday of each week between 7 a.m. and 3 a.m. of the following day, and Sundays between 11 a.m. and 3 a.m. of the following day. The applicant has agreed to limit the hours of operation for the proposed restaurant and alcoholic beverage sales to 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. daily to reduce any potential for impacts on surrounding properties and the adjacent community use. The pedestrian and vehicular route of travel from the proposed restaurant to the Ministerio Unidas por Cristo Church and Alphabet Learning Center exceeds 650 feet. The proposed wet zone area is located along Memorial Highway, a 4-lane arterial highway with approximately 100 feet of right-of-way width, and Kelly Road, a collector roadway approximately 50 feet in width. The closest residentially zoned property is located to the west, across Kelly Road, and is developed with a large apartment complex with over 300 units. The apartment complex is fenced with a 6-foot high wrought iron fencing around the perimeter of the complex and is a gated community. The pedestrian vehicular route of travel from the proposed restaurant to the entrance of the apartment complex is approximately 580 feet. The residentially zoned properties to the south of the proposed wet zone area, located within 250 feet, are zoned RSC6 and developed with single-family residential homes. They're more recent, but I won't follow all my report. So I just wanted to say that for the reasons discussed, staff finds the proposed wet zone does not pose significant impacts on surrounding land uses, and the necessity for the specified distance requirements is negated. So we found the proposed 2 COP alcoholic beverage permit to be approvable, subject to conditions. Is for a total wet zone footprint of 2,125.38 square feet, as it is shown in the wet zone survey received March 19, 2024. And we have 2 final conditions. One is the existing special use 030612 will be rescinded if this is approved, if this request is approved, and the hours of operation shall be restricted to 11 a.m. from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m., Monday through Sunday. And this concludes my presentation.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Is there anyone here that would like to speak in support? Anyone in favor? Seeing no one, anyone in opposition to this request? No one. Ms. Marshall, anything else?
Just want to clarify for the record, the intent in the staff report was that to indicate that they would need to come out to that sidewalk that is in the public right-of-way. You'll see on the GIS viewer is a little bit off. When you look at the site plan that was submitted, there was a right-of-way taking that covers that cutout area for the additional sidewalk.
I'm not sure which graphic can you tell me what you're referring to? Is that on the parcel information page? Is that what you're looking at?
No, it's a survey. Find the page.
It's their wet zoning survey?
They have a separate site plan that was also, it was a boundary survey.
I see that. Okay.
And the right-of-way, actually, there's additional right-of-way that was taken. And when you see the way that the sidewalk jogs and then comes back out towards Kelly Road.
Yes.
That's that right-of-way area.
Okay.
was.
And so is your point that there's not connection between the two? Is that what you're saying?
Just that connection would be on the right-of-way rather than directly from one property to the next.
Okay. All right. Well, I understand your point because if there was a right-of-way taking, then that puts that sidewalk further in toward interior to the lot.
Sure.
I understand that. But it's almost the sidewalk is in front of one of the parking spaces for the subject property. So that's what led me to conclude that. So I understand. Sure. I appreciate the clarification. Sure. All right. Then with that, we'll go back to the applicant who has 5 minutes for rebuttal if you'd like. Just give us your name real quick.
Terry Haley.
Thank you.
Brandon, Florida. It seems as though what we're keep coming back to is maybe that sidewalk at this time. Some more justification or defense in that would be, again, it's public sidewalk, so anyone can walk on it. But as far as the school or learning center is concerned, I don't foresee the smaller children traveling that piece of sidewalk, at least on their own. And if, again, it is when bringing or picking up the students, the times, again, are pretty much opposite of our hours of operation, or at least our peak hours. Also, I don't have it in front of me, but maybe it shows on your thing. I'm thinking maybe if I were a pedestrian and I'm traveling on Memorial on the sidewalk, I'm sure there's a crosswalk. Is that crosswalk, isn't it more so on the Memorial side? Do you understand what I'm saying? It's not set back like behind our building. And do you understand what I'm saying? So one crossing Kelly Road from Memorial, again, would be on our side, the south side of the school.
Yeah, I understand.
So, and any other questions you have, I would feel, free to answer. Again, I think I'm just representing a independently owned ma and pa business that this would be an amenity that would only help their business.
All right, thank you. No other questions. I appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
With that, we'll close special use AB 24-0374 and go to the next case.
Next item is I2, special use 240394. The applicant is Jin Chen. The request is a special use 2 COPR alcoholic beverage permit with separation waivers. Staff findings will be provided by Michelle Montalbano after presentation by the applicant.
Okay, is the applicant here? Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Ricky. This is a restaurant owner, Hong Feng. Our restaurant address is 13520 University Plaza. So our restaurant do traditional native food, unlike the American Chinese food. Our restaurant has been there for almost 3 years. We would like to provide the alcohol, beer, when a customer eat our food at our restaurant. So this is the reason we would like to get the alcohol permit. The distance from the permit structure to certain community is 225 feet. However, the Plaza Center is southeast away from the Mueller Elementary School, and there is no direct route from the school to the permitted structure. So the actual distance is more than 500 feet. Yeah, so we think we have the qualification to apply the alcohol permit.
Right. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. If you could please sign in with the clerk's office.
Okay.
Appreciate it. Development Services. Good morning.
Good morning. This is Michelle Montalbano with Development Services. As the applicant stated, the request is for a 2-cup R alcoholic beverage permit with separation waivers to certain community uses. The proposed wet zoning area is a total of 1,546 square feet for an existing restaurant, Flaming Mountain. The proposed wet zoning is within 500 feet of a property occupied by 2 public schools, Mueller Elementary Magnet School and Building Construction Academy at Bowers Whitley High School. The property boundary is approximately 225 feet from the subject restaurant. The shopping center is located along 2 arterial roadways, each Fletcher Avenue and Bruce B. Downs Boulevard. The driving distance is approximately 1/3 of a mile from the restaurant to the main entrance for Bowers Whitley Academy off of Livingston Road, while the main entrance for Mueller Elementary is approximately 0.7 miles, as vehicles access its drop-off area from a different entrance off of Anoma Street. Walking access is hindered by fencing around the shopping plaza for a walking distance of 1/3 of a mile from Bowers Whitley Academy to the restaurant. The restaurant is located towards the center of the shopping center, which is oriented to the east, away from the school property. For the reasons discussed, staff finds the proposed alcoholic beverage permit with separation waivers approvable. That concludes my presentation.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Is there anyone in the room or online that would like to speak in support? Anyone in favor? Seeing no one. Anyone in opposition? No one. County staff.
The applicant, Jin Chen, will need to, if he's in attendance, authorize the 2 gentlemen to speak on his behalf. We don't have a affidavit.
Oh, okay. And so is that gentleman in the audience?
Yes.
Okay. Could you come forward, please? So, sir, the issue is there's no authorized agent form in the file, so we just need you to give your name and address.
Yes, my name is Jin Chen. I'm a tax accountant of this restaurant, and my coworker filled the form, but I did not prepare for this in the hearing, and so there's a gentleman, on behalf of me, actually, we are together. Yeah.
All right, thank you. And could you just put your address on the record, please?
The address?
Your address.
My address, my personal,
Whatever you'd like to give us.
1243 Irish Lake Drive, apartment 304, Tampa, Florida, 33619.
Thank you so much. Ms. Marshall, does that satisfy it?
Yes,
All right, thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
If you could please sign in with the clerk's office, sir?
Oh, sign in.
Sign in up front.
Okay,
Yeah, there you go. All right, and so we went to development services, so we'll go back to the applicant if you have anything else before we close. I don't see them. I assume that means no. So with that, we'll close special use AB 24-0394 and go to the next case.
Next item is I3, Special Use 240488. The applicant is Adam Capital Investments 3 Incorporated. The request is a special use 3PS alcoholic beverage permit with separation waivers. Staff findings will be provided by Jared Folan after presentation by the applicant.
All right, good morning.
My name is Jad Hassan. The address is 14913 Bruce B. Down Boulevard, Tampa, Florida, 33613.
Thank you.
I have a liquor store. I'm the owner for the liquor store. I have a small liquor store. I tried to move the bigger liquor store. It's the same plaza,
How long have you been there in that shopping center?
like 2 years.
Okay, and you're just moving down, moving
Yes,
locations?
same plaza.
All right, is it approximately the same size?
No, I have 1,500 square feet right now. I try to move to 2,700 square feet.
That would, I guess that's why you're moving.
Yeah.
Okay, understood. Thank you so much. I
You're
appreciate it. If you could please sign in. Development Services.
Jared Fallon, Development Services. So yes, this is a 3PS alcoholic beverage permit request. Just to remind, 3PS is for the sale of beer, wine, and liquor to be sold on premises and no consumption allowed on the site. The subject property is currently a shopping center. There are residential to the southeast, and that is what they're asking to for the distance waivers. They do meet separation requirements for community uses and other alcoholic beverages in the area within 1,000 feet. The residential is multifamily. It is to the rear of the building. The building and the residential is separated by a concrete wall, and the walking distance from the entrance to the multifamily is about 900 feet. They have to go around to the north. So there is no pedestrian or vehicular access between them besides to the north. So we don't have any issues with this one. The shopping center is faced away. It's on a 8-lane highway. It's an appropriate location for a liquor store. And to remind you, it is 2,633 square feet of indoor area that they're proposing. And just one condition, there's just an existing alcoholic beverage permit that will be rescinded if this application is approved. I'm happy to answer any questions.
None at this time, but thank you so much.
Thank you.
Is there anyone in the room or online that would like to speak in support? Anyone in favor? Seeing no one, anyone in opposition? No one. Ms. Marshall, anything else?
Nothing further.
All right, sir, you have the last word if you'd like it. You don't have to take it. Okay, if you want to come forward, just give us your name and address.
Yes. My name is Abraham Hassan. My address is 4503 Old Orchard Drive, Tampa, Florida, 33618. Where we try to move is to make our businesses bigger and have like more supporter, because when we try to do like more job or do more inventory, our business right now is really small, and this is why we move in to the almost 2,600 square feet. And thank you so much for your understanding.
Thank you for coming down. I appreciate it. If you could please sign in. Then with that, we'll close special use AB 24-0488 and go to the last case.
Last item is item I4, Special Use 240495. The applicant is Public Supermarkets Incorporated. The request is a special use 3PS alcoholic beverage permit with separation waivers. Staff findings will be provided by Michelle Montalbano after presentation by the applicant.
Thank you. Good morning. You made it to the end.
Good morning. It always seems like every agenda I'm at the end, but it's just a coincidence, I'm sure. David Smith, 401 East Jackson Street, Suite 2100, Director of Development and Zoning for Stearns Weaver Miller on behalf of Public Supermarkets. The staff report has a really good layout and depiction of our property on page 5 of 8. The proposal is for an alcoholic beverage 3PS, beer, wine, and liquor, package sales for better known as Publix liquors. Publix, when they develop their shopping centers and their new locations and grocery stores, they've come up with a new amenity for their clients, which is liquor stores. They have to be in a separate space. They cannot be in the same space as a grocery store. The proposal here is to locate the public liquor store right next to the Publix that is being constructed off of Big Bend and Waterset. The location for this store is in a PD. The PD was a mixed-use PD. It involved residential and commercial. If you look at the graphic on page 5 of 8 of the staff report, it shows that this has been developed. They're not all open yet, but they're in the process. The location for the liquor store is on the west side of the larger building, which is the Publix, and it is immediately adjacent. The distance separation right now that would exist would be 132 feet. We're asking for a 118-foot distance separation waiver. Since this property is located in a mixed-use PD, it was always anticipated that commercial uses would be adjacent to the residential uses within this development. As you can see, access off of Big Bend is actually a shared access drive with the multifamily and the shopping center. Also off of Waterset, there's a curb cut that's common, but they do have a separated driveway on Waterset because there's a gate for the apartments. As typical with grocery stores and the liquor store has really no different operating characteristics than any other type of retail that is allowed within these shopping centers. The location of this particular space is separated by a buffered area, parking areas, and other retailers that are in line. There are no characteristics of the use with any exceptions, noise, light, or other intrusions. The pedestrian connections are actually just required connections for the shopping center. There's no direct connection for the liquor store to the adjacent property in the multifamily. The multifamily actually has a separating fence and berm between the two properties. Looking at the criteria, there's no expectation for any adverse impacts, noise, dust, or vibration, or other things that would be detrimental to the neighborhood. We believe it's been designed and located to orient all the uses facing Big Bend, and for that reason, we believe it meets the criteria for approval of the 3PS. Be glad to answer any questions, but I think staff did a very good job in the staff report laying this out, and respectfully request your approval.
Thank you. No questions at this time. I appreciate it. If you could please sign in. All right, Development Services.
Good morning, Michelle Montalbano, Development Services. As the applicant stated, the request is for a 3PS alcoholic beverage permit with separation waivers to residentially zoned property. The proposed wet zoning area is a total of 1,400 square feet for a proposed Publix liquor store. The proposed wet zoning area is within 250 feet of a multifamily residential development which abuts the parcel on the west and south boundaries. The proposed liquor store is nearest to the residential property to the west, where there's 132 feet separation. The two properties are part of the same plan development, which permits the abutting commercial and multifamily residential uses within Tract 7. The wet zoning proposal is consistent with the intentions of the PD for mixed-use development on this tract of land. The proposed liquor store will be oriented to the north, away from the multifamily dwellings. The closest apartment or townhouse building within the adjacent multifamily property is approximately 250 feet to the west, measured in a straight line distance. The two properties are to be separated by a 20-foot buffer with type B screening, including landscaping and fencing 6 feet in height. For the reasons discussed, staff finds the alcoholic beverage permit with separation waivers approvable. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Is there anyone in the room or online that would like to speak in support? Anyone in favor? Seeing no one, anyone in opposition? No one. Ms. Marshall, anything else?
Nothing further.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Mr. Smith, anything? All right. Then with that, we'll close special use AB 24-0495 and adjourn the hearing. Thank you all for your time and testimony.